think probably by being very careful about what we're prioritizing in each project, and then trying to develop principles that reflect that, and then using that as a kind of way of judging aesthetic decisions against in order to create design. Yeah, so I guess the main thing with experimentation is just that there's a lot of failure, a lot of things that go wrong, and that it's just endless iterations until you feel like you're getting something that is valid or useful.
It's learning through the process.
Yeah, definitely. We actually operate quite a large range of scales for prototyping. So sometimes it will be about a material substance, and sometimes it will be about a detail of a facade of a building which we'll build in the studio, and it will be like 5 meters tall. So it really just depends upon like what it is we're trying to work out. Yeah, but we use one-to-one prototyping a lot in our work because we find that actually inhabiting something spatial is a really useful way of understanding it rather than just looking at something on a computer or on paper. That's a difficult one because basically it just completely depends upon which of us in the collective are working on the project. So everyone kind of approaches things very differently. There's generally quite a lot of trying to see what is already there in a context or in an environment or on a site and learn from that. I guess that would be a kind of fundamental principle, but then everyone kind of takes things in their own way. Yeah. So there'll be a couple of people who are responsible mainly for a project, but then they'll be using the wider group for like reference and conversation and working through problems and stuff. Yeah, so I guess the two of the projects that I mentioned in the presentation today, one of which is the Adventure Playground. We kind of have an ongoing role, and there's like multiple spin-off projects that have come out of that. And then also I work in Liverpool. So we're only really at the beginning of that. It feels like there's so much to be done. There's like 3 or 4 different projects within that kind of, it's like a network of projects basically, and there's also more further down the line. So yeah. I think there's a real interest in kind of more expansive concept of practice at the moment. And I guess that may be due to kind of economic situations around the world and different kinds of pressures and different kinds of priorities, and a lack of money sometimes. But I don't know. I mean, there's some really exciting movements happening, I think, in terms of like people working with their hands more and getting more directly involved and in projects. So I'm not sure. Hopefully. Because we're working as a group of friends, essentially, it means that you don't really have a life outside of that work, which is also true for lots of architects working in normal practice. But it means that like it's also a social activity, so it means you feel like you need other things less, which is dangerous. So I think that for me, the work itself and the outcomes of it has been really rewarding over the past 5 years. Like I am really proud of what we've managed to achieve, but yeah, I think it's going to be difficult when people start having babies, because like then they're not going to be able to commit as much, and the type of work that we do involves a lot of kind of being in places physically in order to kind of make things happen. Yeah. It's been magical. It's so great. Yeah, no, I'm really looking forward to the rest of the week. It's just really brilliant to be here, so thanks for having me.